You have 13 years experience in the intellectual property industry in Israel. How is the current COVID-19 situation affecting the industry and the IP market in general? And which are the major changes you've seen in the last few months?
I see that the current situation has a positive effect on the IP world. I think that the researchers are encouraged to develop new treatment methods and diagnostic kits in order to cope with the situation. So on the one hand, since developing these drugs and test kits require a large amount of funds, companies seek to enforce their IP rights in order to protect their investment. However, on the other hand, we can see large companies like Medtronic, which is one of the largest medical device company in the world, waiving its proprietary rights and sharing IP in order to combat the shortage in ventilator machines. Also, there is a recent decision of the Israeli Attorney General where he authorized the compulsory license and allowed the importation of a protected drug in order to treat COVID-19 patients. So, in my opinion, I'm sure that this current situation will have a long-lasting effect on the industry in general and also on the IP field in particular.
Are you saying that Israel was the first to exercise compulsory licensing during this situation?
From what I know, Israel was the first one that employed the possibility of a compulsory license, yes? And I think that this is the right time to do that for the benefit of the public health. But on the other hand, we need to make sure that when a compulsory license is exercised, the government needs to compensate the patent owner regarding the use of the patent.
Can you provide a little bit more details as to what drug it was and what were the terms that they exercised?
I think that the drug was Caletrin or something like that, which is protected in Israel, the drug itself, and it's used for treating HIV patients. So I know that the government allowed the importation only for the use of treating COVID-19 patients and not for treating the HIV patient, which is what protected. But since the drug itself protected, I hope that the government will negotiate with the company and try and compensate her accordingly.
So are you saying that this drug helped save lives and was able to treat COVID-19 successfully?
From what I know, that this is an antiviral drug, and from what I know that there was an experiment in Japan when they showed that it wasn't efficient. So I think that the government had to check before it authorized the compulsory license and authorized the importation of the drug. They had to do a thorough investigation to see if it's really helpful. And from what I read, it wasn't good enough, but this is what happened.
So you are the IP director at Hadasit, and one of your core functions is to evaluate inventions developed at Hadassah Medical Center. How is the current situation affecting this line of work in particular in terms of research and development of inventions?
In the current situation, I can see that there is an increase in research and innovation at Hadassah, which affected in a spike of filing of new patent application by Hadasit, which is the technology transfer office of Hadassah.
So Hadassah specializes in transforming research coming out of Hadassah Medical Center into marketable technologies. Is this COVID-19 situation good news for the center? Has it brought research opportunities, licensing opportunities?
Hadassah professionals are working around the clock in order to treat COVID-19 patients, and they are also occupied with several clinical trials that are currently conducted at Hadassah. So I think that despite this hectic schedule and probably due to the situation that the medical teams are encountered with, they come up with innovative ideas. I think that the increase in technological solutions and the fact that people really believe that doctors and researchers would be the one to help us go through this crisis triggers companies and investors to seek for technological solutions in hospitals. So I really see that there is an increase in commercial interest because people, as I said, are looking for technologies that emerge from hospitals. And also Hadasit has a business and development team which is actively seeking for business partners that would be interested in technologies that emerge from hospitals.
So Hadasit is an industry leader in the research and development, and you guys collaborate with leading international companies and research facilities. How has the current situation impacted your international collaboration?
I really think that one of the largest impact of the current situation is the effect of globalization on localization. There is an increase in international collaboration. I think that researchers, in view of the situation, are motivated to join forces and find solution to the problem together. Because think about it, if each researcher or lab would work alone, so the progress would be very slow, and this is in the best case scenario. So I think that the researchers are collaborating in order to find solution quicker, and by collaborating, I think that they also find an optimal solution to the current situation. And also one thing that I would like to mention in this regard is that as an IP director in a technology transfer office such as Hadasit, this is very challenging because I need to make sure that the rights of my researchers are not impacted, and I need to do that without affecting the collaboration and slowing the progress of the project. And I think that this is very important to do that in a well-mannered way, that the collaboration between the researchers will not be negatively affected.
Is there anything else you would like to add that reflects how the industry has been impacted by the global reality that we're currently living in?
Yeah, I think that another change in view of the situation, we can see it in other professions as well, and not only in the IP field, is that the current situation has triggered a trial period for remote working on a large scale. So with the improved platforms and capabilities for video and audio conferencing, just like we are doing now, the experience that is gained during this time period will shape a future for remote working, especially in professions that only require a laptop, internet connection, and time. And I think that many of us did work remotely in the last few weeks. I also see that many of the IP firms that we work with has transferred into virtual companies. And this is done without affecting the service to the client. So if I would have guessed, I would say that many of the companies will continue to work remotely, at least partially, in order to reduce the cost and also a cost in commute time of the worker. So I think this is very important, that it saves not only money, but also time.